And hello from Motor City Nerds. But we have a little bit of movie news that we're going to be talking about tonight. We have a little bit of Stallone news that he ended up popping his way out of nowhere on Monday. Then we also have the Will Smith apology. We also have some Batgirl news. We have a thing full of news today. We actually have some movie news. So with further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's get on with the show. Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good. It's good to be able to have you again. We actually did what? You've been on the show twice within this year already.
Yeah, probably about 20 times in the past year, 2, 3. Yeah, it's been several appearances.
That's what I thought.
Probably last minute, but yeah.
Right. But you know what, though? It's always fun to have you on. I just want to point that out there. And it's always a pleasure to have you on here. And
thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So, like I said, we have some movie news. We have a little bit of girl news. We have Stallone being mad at the fact that they're doing a Drago spinoff, which I need to go back and rename this episode because at first I thought it was being mad about Creed 3. So I got to retitle this. So when you guys get this, you're going to get a fresh new thumbnail and also a new title as well to go along with that.
Yeah, so it's not confusing, so you won't presume. Wait, I thought he was mad about Drago. Why
I don't need him mad at me. I don't need him to be mad at me.
No.
So my question is this, man. Where do you want to start off at? And Abby's here. Hold on one second.
Oh, okay.
What's
up? Nothing much.
We got sound.
Yep.
Okay. Things are...
We're good.
Okay.
Things are going great.
I know things.
Yes, you do. So, welcome to the show, Abby. This is Western Wonder.
Hey. Nice to meet you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So, like I said, Abby, we actually have a little bit of movie news, and I know I already recited this before, but, basically, we have Stallone punching his way into being mad over about the spinoff for Drago. We also...
Yeah.
I don't know if we lost you.
We want to cover the Batgirl news first and then end it with the Stallone news, or
whichever way you want to handle it. I don't mind.
I think that's Stallone punching his way to the leg. Okay, here we go.
I was going to say, yeah, Stallone popping off is it. This is kind of on. I mean, we'll get to it. I don't know how I feel.
So did you want to go on ahead and talk about Batgirl first, since that's actually the newest thing that just dropped today?
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm not surprised, but I am surprised to drop such a huge idea.
Okay, so first thing is first, I have to do this because of the fact that, Momoa revealed the news on Instagram on Thursday of last week after fans on Warner Brothers Buzz Tour apparently caught wind that Affleck was there filming with him. Affleck previously announced that his retirement as Batman in 2019 and has been open about personal and professional strife that came with the role. So it came as a surprise 2 years ago when it was revealed Affleck was suiting up once more for The Flash with Ezra Miller, starring film due out on June 23rd, 2023, and that will also feature Michael Keaton as Bat.
Yes!
Do we think that maybe the Ezra Miller stuff is affecting...
It was a turn earlier.
Sorry. No, sorry. You cut out for a second, but I was curious if maybe, do you think the Ezra Miller craziness has affected him coming back, and maybe Warner Brothers was like, we need a big comeback here because we have all these issues going on over here?
Good theory.
I was thinking that though too. Like, because of the stuff with Ezra Miller, I was thinking that might have something to do with it because of the fact that they don't know what to do with Ezra Miller. At all.
He's on world tour right now.
Yeah, he's on a real...
He's a menace. I keep telling you,
he's
a menace, and nobody's stopping him. Like, we get everybody's all uptight about this, but then we're like, Ezra Miller.
I'm scared too.
Right? I'm like, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe from Ezra Miller. He's coming for everybody. He's got problems with everyone. I'm like, geez, this guy's losing it. But now that I'm hearing somebody else say it, I didn't think this before. And now I'm like,
well,
if this,
there's two things that I need to touch on with that, though. Okay. Number one, you have Warner Brothers, the person who bought Discovery, is dealing with a problem child known as Ezra Miller. They don't know what to do with the Flash movie, and I feel bad for them because it's like the CEO.
I think you cut out for a second there, John.
Yeah, you talk about CEOs.
The time, like,
there goes.
Well, my thing is with the CEO thing, I always forget. You cut out for a minute there, John. I'm sorry. But with the CEO thing, I always forget about that. But I always tell people this, especially, Game of Thrones is my jammy and I love it. But I know people have issues with it. But then I always tell people, I'm like, when there's so much blame put onto the showrunners, where I'm like, they're not totally not to blame, but I'm like, do you know how many people work on things? So especially with The Flash, when they said that, I was like, okay, yeah, no, you're a problem, but so many people work on something and this has been made. It's not in like it's done. It's like we're packaging it up right now. So it's like, I feel so bad for everybody else. That's like, we all worked on this and now you acting like a nut, which I think that maybe people have picked up on for a minute now. I have a theory about that, but that's a whole other thing. But it's like, we got to salvage something somewhere. So that's why I'm thinking maybe that's why we're getting Ben Affleck in this, because I was like, oh no, we got to fix the Ezra Miller problem. And how do we make people go be happy? Because there's no way. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm like, I feel bad for everybody else who had to work on that film. I'm like, oh no, but if they can salvage it in any way, and if bringing Ben Affleck back into Aquaman or whatever else, salvaging things, do it. Cause I feel so bad for everybody else. Damn it.
Here's the thing. I think it's Warner Brothers playing damage control because of the fact that they don't know what to do with the Ezra Miller situation in itself.
And did I hear you correctly? This slipped on a bus tour? Like a celebrity bus tour this slipped on? Is that what he said? What? Like, that sounds very, like, how do you end up having that information slip on a celebrity bus tour?
Right. The ones that you usually see promoted on TMZ, like, huh?
Yeah. That's why I'm like, that's an odd place for all of a sudden now. That's how we got this information about Ben Affleck. Like,
that's pretty strange.
This kind of sounds like a plant, but I could be totally. I mean, that's just me speculating. But I do feel bad for Warner Brothers as a whole because I'm like, one, there's not many studios left. Like I mean, compared to when I was younger, there's not many big heavy left. It's Disney versus everybody going, so it's like Warner Brothers, we're all kind of rooting for you, but you have issues going on and it's like, you can't just sweep them under the rug. So how do we fix that? And it's like, if Ben Affleck came in and said, hey, do you want to know what? I'll do this for you. Kudos to him, because there's not many people that aren't stepping up for Warner Brothers right now. And it's like, I know they're a huge conglomerate with a ton of money. Why cry for them? But it's like,
well,
I'd like to have another company that can rival them, that isn't Disney. And it's like, come on, we got to have something.
Well, another thing though too is I want to mention is this. Okay, so yeah, it didn't slip out on a bus, unfortunately.
I'm like, what?
Oh boy, that's just pitiful.
We're gonna wait for you to come back, John.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh,
there it goes.
Yeah, I'm good. You know what? If you can take
over, he said. I think he said, yeah. But
well, that's okay. Well, that's the thing too. Is like, especially with Batgirl being announced. They're just straight up canceling that, aren't they? Because I'm not up to snuff with everything going on.
Okay.
I think they went straight to post-production. They were like close to post-production, and it just all of a sudden it was announced that it was canceled.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah, this is what happened though. Batgirl, the feature film adaptation of the DC Comics character, has been killed at Warner Brothers. Variety has confirmed it will not premiere on any platform
theatrically released or HBO Max was what he was trying to say. I think
I didn't know that this was. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not caught up with Gotham and Batgirl and all of those series. I'm not caught up with all of those, but I know that
Neither am I.
there's just so much now, but it's like I'm not fully caught up, and I know this was a big deal, and I know that a lot of fans were really geeked for this, and so it's like to hear
Absolutely.
it was that's another one where it's like, I mean, it's not the problem of Ezra Miller, but we have so much already going on, and it's not like it's not like we had a conversation about it and we're like, oh, let's do Batgirl. Oh, now we're not going to do it. It's happening, and now we're just taking it away. That's and then it's like, well, what was going on here that you didn't think it was strong enough to keep going?
Yeah, it was pretty strange. I hope they get something figured out. I mean, I feel bad for people involved that were working on it very hard up to the point that it was close to finished. But then all of a sudden, boom, it just drops from the sky, just canceled. Like, our hard work, we've worked for months doing this project, and you're just going to cancel it out of the blue? Like, come on, Warner, come on. You can do better than that.
Well, at the same time, though, like I said, we actually can feel bad for them because of what's going on.
Yeah. With their problem child on tour. I don't even know if he'll probably be back by the time probably wouldn't be a good segue. Never mind. I'll save that one for later. But no, I hope they can get something figured out, because that's just strange. It's a messed up situation all around, really.
Yep, definitely strange. And I feel like I said before, I feel like this is just Warner Brothers playing damage control with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't know what to do with the Ezra Miller situation, like I mentioned. But at the same time, with the Ezra Miller situation at hand, you also have to take into consideration.
Two things to consideration, huh?
Yeah, we actually have Warner Brothers that just bought them. Not Warner Brothers, but Discovery just bought them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, therefore, all the old executives are no longer there or anything like that put the green light through for Batgirl. These were back when the old executives were there that was actually just being reactionary and stuff like that, too. So now you have someone that's actually, you know what? We're canning anything and everything that the executives actually had.
That's what it appears to be to me and to you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty messy.
Most definitely. And so basically another thing too is like anything that the executives had in place at that time, if you think about it, is now gone. So they're trying to go ahead and try to fix things up. Also too, Batgirl was supposed to be in that Flash
movie? Did she now?
Yeah, Batgirl was supposed to be in the Flash movie and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that's also another thing. But you can also do some PR. Supposed to be. Hold on.
We good?
And
whoa, okay. Where were we at though? Or should I
think he was talking about Batgirl, somebody being in the Flash movie. I think that's what he was cutting off at.
That's what I mean. I really think that they're just going, hey, let me stick as much in other things in the Flash movie so that nobody is talking about Ezra Miller, because he's a menace. Like, there's no other word to describe that man. I'm like, you're just a menace. And I'm like, there's just such a list of things where I'm like, I don't know, but there's enough here that it's like, you're messed up. So I really feel they're trying to jam as many people in as possible to go, what can we salvage here? And I'm just like, with the technology we have now, like, have you seen what they've done to Sam Jackson in the Avengers? Like,
yeah,
we can do something here. There's something that we can do here, right? Like, change a face up. I don't know. Didn't
replace him with the guy that does the Flash on TV, and say at the end credits, Ezra Miller will not return. He's currently on tour. Say something.
Right. Or, did we get you? Did I do this right?
Yep, you got me.
So that's what I'm like. Are you just going, okay, this is my thing. And I've told John this before. I'm like, just because I know that this is finished, we all know he's a menace. At least come out with a statement and say, you want to know what? We don't want to screw all these other people over. We're going to do what we can, but Ezra Miller, there's nothing we can do. Like, at least say that. Don't just say contracts have been signed. We got to pay this psycho, whatever. Like, but
I feel like this. Okay, this is an option that I was thinking that they could do, and everything too. They can promote this. They can promote the Flash without having Ezra Miller being up front and center, even though it is his movie. Give the reins to Michael Keaton. Let him promote the hell out of this thing. And then what you do is...
Are we losing you again, John? I think we're losing you again. But here's my ideal plan is to somehow segue into Batman Beyond. But that's also just middle school and high school Abby wishfully thinking we just need Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton because that's all I've ever wanted. And I think that would be a really cool way to... We could maybe look at that aspect more in the Flash and showing Michael Keaton more and change it up to this is more about Michael Keaton and his retirement from Batman and do a more of a setup that we could segue into Batman Beyond in another movie. Like, I don't know. We're gonna have to focus on something. We're gonna have to focus on something else.
I feel like this. If you go ahead and you're centered around Michael Keaton's Batman, you can part ways with Ezra Miller and be like, bye. See you around, Psycho. Get yourself some help. And then they can start making money again, because if not, they're already gonna lose over 150 mil probably by not putting this out. And then I forgot how much the budget was for Batgirl, but they pulled the production on that. And I was just telling Western this.
He was telling me ...
Well, that's my thing.
I was telling a Western that I was telling Western this. We were actually once upon a time. Remember the old executives that was there at Warner Brothers? That was just very reactionary. They reminded me of the damn Minions. They were just going ahead and do whatever they thought was actually popular. So therefore, they're like, you know what? Batgirl's popular. Let's go ahead and greenlight that one.
The budget for Batgirl was $90 million.
$90 million. And that's for something that was going to stream on HBO Max and something on a smaller screen.
$200 million in the reams we're hearing?
That's my worry for HBO. I'm like, HBO's been panicking about things ever since Game of Thrones ended, because I don't know the name, but whoever the guy who was fighting for Sopranos, Game of Thrones, Deadwood, the guy who fought for all those, he was like, yeah, I'm taking
left.
Off. Yeah, he's like, I'm taking off after Game of Thrones. And then all of a sudden they were like, Saints in Newark, House of the and they were like, what are Deadwood movie? What are the safe bets that we already have? So it's like, I was already worried about HBO a couple of years ago. And then I was like, Warner Brothers, we got a whole mess over here to deal with. This is like, this is wild. Is like, and I don't think there's no other situation like this to compare it to and go like, well, what did they do? And it's like, there's a couple, like I said, the zombie movie that completely took a character out and CGI Tig Notaro in, like that happened. I don't exactly know everything that took place with that, but it's like, these things do happen, but this is like they should be worshiping Robert Pattinson. Warner Brothers should be worshiping the ground Robert Pattinson walks on. They should be like, thank you, because you're keeping us alive, because the Batman did so good. Like, geez. And man.
I feel like this. Pattinson did a damn good job as Batman and everything.
Absolutely.
But I would like to see Ben to come back. Yeah. And I like to see Ben come back and reprise his role and give us the Deathstroke versus Batman movie that we've been wanting. Now,
and maybe we can get a multiverse, a DC multiverse of Batman. You know, get Ben Affleck on the line, Michael Keaton, Robert Pattinson. Who was that? Christian Bale? Wasn't he Batman?
Yeah. Christian Bale. We need all the Batmen back to save us.
I don't know if George Clooney would say yes, though.
No, he won't save anything. We're not gonna.
God knows that I secretly love George Clooney's Batman. I do. I don't hate on it.
She does. She does.
But I'm like, say if you want to do whatever you want to do here. But I think that the smartest thing Warner Brothers ever did, especially when they started with Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, when that came out, I was like, or they announced it, and everyone was like, man. I was in high school when Heath Ledger got announced, and we were pissed, and we were like, the guy from A Knight's Tale, are you serious right now? And then we were happy. So I've learned to not get upset about things. But I was like, Joaquin Phoenix is a boss. I was like, it's gonna be fine. But then the second they announced the synopsis of it, I was like, this is the king of comedy, this is Falling Down, this is Taxi Driver, but nobody will go see those. So you're putting Joker in it. So I don't consider that the Joker, but it's like that was the smartest thing Warner Brothers ever did because it was the most like comics. You have Ben Affleck and them running around over here. We got Robert Pattinson over here. We got Joaquin Phoenix over here. That's the smartest thing they ever did because now you can go. It's like the comics. We have different writers, different people coming at it. So it's like you guys did a really smart thing with that, Warner Brothers, and I respect that, and I think it's really cool. So use it right now. Use it right now with the Ezra Miller situation. Make something happen. I don't know what. There's enough crazy things in comics that we can be like, he don't look the same because magic or something, science.
Other universe or something.
Yeah, somehow.
Right. But I just feel like this. Just going to put Keaton up there in front and center, like I said. The Batgirl stuff, though, as far as the Batgirl stuff, this was back when the old executives were in charge. They didn't know what they were doing. Now you actually have executives who are there now who bought Discovery that's trying to clean up the mess that those executives did because of the Batgirl stuff. So then they're also dealing with the Ezra Miller situation and stuff like that. So it might be something to do with that. But, you know, I think that it's more of the lines of the fact that, you know, you have a problem child on your hands. You have a junior on your hands.
This is more, that's the thing, too. And that's what I mean about making a statement. I'm like, this is more than a problem child. This is, we have somebody straight up David Koreshing themselves on a plot of land and telling you can't come near. There's like a crazy situation happening with this man. Like, how could you can't even do a press with him? I don't think he'll come out. I don't think he'll appear. I think he's only
on the run.
I think the only way you're going to get him to appear is if there's people he can terrorize. Like, then he's going to show up. But then it's like, I don't know if I want him there. But you're absolutely right. You need to shift to, I don't know. That's what I mean. Like, you're lucky that if like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck and these people go like, do you want to know what, Warner Brothers? Here, we'll come in, we'll shoot more, we'll do whatever to mix and match this movie up so it's not The Flash. But I feel
I guarantee you this. I guarantee you this. Ben would probably give some of his money for the production cost just to get this thing done, to get the reshots done, and sacrifice his paycheck in a sense to save the movie from being destroyed. Because if they don't release it, they're losing money. If they release it, they're still losing money.
That's
so this is where I think things are interesting. And I mean, what do I know? I'm not a lawyer. But I'd be very interested to look at Ezra Miller's contract and go like, is there anything in this that says, I don't know, if I'm committing crimes or something that it's null and void or whatever to get rid of this guy? Like I said, just come out and say something. But when it comes to the actual movie part, it's like fans have wanted this since 2016 on top of everything. People have been wanting a Flash movie for years. And then it's like, oh, we're finally doing it. And now we finally do it, and this happens. And it's like, but I think you're absolutely right. I think the focus needs to go to Michael Keaton because we're all happy with Michael Keaton.
Yes, we love Michael Keaton.
we stand Michael Keaton. And on top of that, outside of just loving him, on top of it, it's like he's winning Emmy Awards or he's nominated for them. He's up for them. He's a big player still. And so it's like, throw us Michael Keaton. I don't exactly know if it can be called The Flash anymore, but it's like something has to be done. And like I was saying, like, look at what they can do CGI wise. I understand that it's not going to be perfect or anything, but it's like something's got to give here. But Batgirl, I feel even worse for because I feel like that's constantly had issues since the day they announced it. I feel like there's always been something in the background with Batgirl, whether it was the casting, this, that, they left. It was always something. And I never got into the shows that they were playing on the CW and everything. So I never really fully delved into that. So now I'm like, I don't know all of it, but I'm like, man, now you're fully pulling it. I know people are really rooting for this. Like, it was almost like an underdog thing with Batgirl where it was like, is it going to work? Are people going to like it? People are stoked. People aren't stoked. And now we're here where it's fully pulled. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I don't know. That's just crappy to me. And then I'm like, is this the company? Is this the production? Which one is it? And then nobody's going to admit blame. Nobody's going to say, yeah, it's my fault. Yeah, I'm the one who tanked Batgirl. Yeah, someone really wants to come out and say that.
Yeah, I tanked Batgirl. You
Right.
what?
Yeah. I'm the one. I pulled the plug on it because of whatever reason.
Okay. So
I think, John, you're going in and out again, but
move on. We have the still.
Oh, I was going to say, you want to move on to the Stallone stuff? We were going in and out for a second, but if you want to move on to Stallone, I feel like this is a two-sided. A two-sided.
Speaking of flashing away, we got to get into Stallone.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the thing. Western knows that I've been following this story since I showed it to him yesterday.
Yes, because I wouldn't have known otherwise. You sent it to me first, and I'm usually the one sending you things.
So
Same here. And when he posted it, I was like, wait, what? And then I looked it up and I was like, whoa, Stallone is popping off online. But then I was like, should you be? I don't know.
Well, let me give you some context.
And Stallone is flashing middle fingers to people. It's a mess.
Well, let me give you guys some context.
That could be Stallone pressing buttons again.
I know. Stallone don't want to be talking about it. Well, my thing with it is like you said you don't want it to come off as a greedy money grab. But then I'm like, have you seen you fight Tommy Gunn in the street? Do you remember that when that happened? Because it happened, and it was the worst. I love Rocky IV. I listen to that soundtrack, I think, at least once a week.
Hey, you know.
Wow.
But I'm like, I love the Rocky IV soundtrack. I'll argue for the Rocky IV soundtrack all day, every day. It's great. Hearts on Fire is a jam. But I'm like, you don't want this to. You're saying that you don't want it to be greedy and coming off like a money grab, but then, sir. And then I'm like, I don't know, but it is his. That's how I feel about it. I'm like, this is yours.
Well,
like, you started out with this, so I do feel like you do have a right to it. And should we have a Twitter fight? I would rather have Stallone have a viral video of him going and punching a production person in the face, but then I read that they were like 91, and I was like, oh, that wouldn't be funny. That's terrible.
So maybe let's get Arnold Schwarzenegger to be like, the mediator here, and probably have like a battle go down.
That's a perfect idea. I'm like,
get to the chopper, Stallone. Get to the, something needs to happen.
That's my feeling on it. I'm like, should I feel what you're saying, and I totally
absolutely,
like, you created this, you were the first, and that was unheard of back in the day. That was made for nothing, and he wrote it, and he produced it, he did everything, and it was like, I think for a long time it was like the cheapest movie ever made to win.
Wow.
It was a big.
He was fresh off the boat. He was fresh off the boat when he remade that film. But let me give you guys some context into what actually was going on, because I actually have it in my show notes.
Did they do some sneaky stuff behind his back?
Well, okay. So Sylvester Stallone slams Drago spinoff, calls out series producer, and it has nothing to do with Creed 3. I have to go ahead and retitle this later on.
Yeah.
So
no
there's a plot twist.
Okay. No, this is all clarifying now, because I'm like, I thought this was this, but it's like, no, you're taking part of my thing, and doing something over here and not telling me about it. And it's like, okay.
Okay, so following the announcement that Drago spinoff.
Yeah, now I'm like.
Was in the works.
Sorry, you cut out for a second, John. But so the Drago spinoff was in the works. And was Dolph Lundgren alerted? Okay,
here's the funny thing that you should mention.
He comes to it in a minute, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have all this in my notes. I actually have the timeline according to how everything
Rocky fan. He got it.
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it.
Adrian, but
I'm sorry if you hear my dog barking in the background. He's just old and senile. I'm trying to look this up. You guys don't know the top thing about Dolph Lundgren? Is he from Russia or Ukraine? Like, what do you?
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, just in case my voice goes in and out again every single time I want to talk.
Yeah, that's why
we're filling time.
That's why I'm pulling this up, just in case.
Because okay, so I'm gonna send you the file, and you and let you.
Okay. Yeah, it says MGM is developing a new film about Rocky Balboa's previous foe, Ivan Drago, which has revived the Stallion's ire over his standing with the boxing franchise. Sylvester Stallone has more to say about the Rocky franchise in light of MGM developing a film spinoff centered around Ivan Drago. Stallone, who wrote the screenplay for 76's Oscar-winning Rocky, in which he starred as boxer Rocky, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the point. Okay, John sent it. I got it. maybe, but
No, you didn't. No.
no, I did not. It's okay. So he had beef with. They went behind his back and told Dolph Lundgren we're doing this, and nobody called him. Long story short, is that what the gist of this is? And
So
nobody
basically, the ones.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm just thinking
so-
about deleted Instagram picture about them sucking the character dry. It's pretty graphic.
Oh no, they said that's what it said. It was like Sylvester Stallone is popping off online, and then I only saw some of it before I came on, and I'm like, whoa, he's really coming at him, and he's like, why didn't anybody call me? Don't bleed this character. Don't be greedy. But then like I said, I was like, Tommy Gunn, sir, come on.
This has got to be a horror story. Now I want this to be a horror movie.
Right. And then it was like, Creed has been doing so well. And then it's like, you're lucky because Michael B. Jordan kills it every time. And that's what I've been yelling at Marvel this entire time. I'm like, you don't just throw away a perfectly good Michael B. Jordan. I think he's the reason that Creed works. Like he put so much heart and soul into that. And it's not that Sylvester Stallone didn't, but that series is great. But I didn't know that that is super sneaky, that it's like, this isn't a part of our trilogy. This isn't a part of this. It's behind your back. We're making this other thing. I thought this was flat out Creed 3. I didn't know this was. I'd be pissed off too if I was Stallone. I'd be mad too.
Oh, I sent you the PDF file.
Both of us.
But
I feel bad for John going in.
Okay, it's for Variety.
From Variety?
Yep. So July 28th, Variety reported the spinoff for MGM is betting big on the House of Drago. The studio is developing Drago, a spinoff of Creed, which itself is a spinoff of Rocky, the successful boxing franchise starring Sylvester Stallone as the ultimate underdog, Rocky Balboa. And did I freeze? Okay. Robert Lawton has hired to write the screenplay. He got the job after impressing MGM executives with his spec script Becoming Rocky, about the making of the first Rocky film, according to The Wrap, which first reported the news of Lawton's hiring through the studio, didn't move ahead with his film idea. It appointed Lawton to build up a backstory about a Russian boxer, Ivan Drago, who took on Rocky in 1985's Rocky 4. His character's son, Victor Drago, appeared in 2018's Creed 2, stepping into the ring against another offspring of Rocky's rivals, Adonis Creed. So then...
What a great name.
Actually,
I love it.
Adonis, it's so good.
Yes, indeed.
That's my thing, is like, okay.
What?
So is this is a total separate entity about the son and Drago?
Right.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Every single time I feel so bad. I'm like,
it's messing with him.
Right.
Doggone it, Stallone.
You're good, John.
Okay. So.
No way. I'm about to look up this Variety thing. That's just because I feel so bad. Let's just look up Sylvester Stallone popping off.
Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what's going on.
Because I feel bad. I don't want Creed to suffer from what is going on now. Is that a good way to put it? I don't want that to happen, because it's like you did so good.
That makes sense.
Like reviving this, that it's like, don't do this to them. And that's another one where I'm like, come on. I didn't know that they were doing a whole thing on how Rocky was made, because that's really interesting. That's a really cool. It's similar. How I look at it is like a Halloween. Is like when John Carpenter's like, hey, can my friends and me make this movie for a little bit of money? And it's like, that's essentially what Sylvester Stallone did with Rocky, except like with his brother and nothing. He was like, we're going to make it work. And it's a very interesting thing to talk about. And I don't think a lot of people talk about it as much as they do like a Halloween with John Carpenter or whatever it is. And I think that's why we all stand John Carpenter, because it's like he made something happen with no money, essentially. And him and his friends got together and made one of the most iconic films of all time. But Sylvester Stallone slams.
Yes.
Okay. Don't expect Sylvester Stallone to be in Drago's corner. So is Sylvester Stallone more angry with this production or with Dolph Lundgren? Because I'd be pissed with Dolph Lundgren.
I think it seems to be with the production.
Okay. Because that's what I was more curious with. Are you mad at Dolph Lundgren? Because it's like, you two are buds. You do Expendables together. You do this together. Like, I'm assuming you're in a text thread or something.
Okay. after he winds up putting that on Twitter.
See, it's always that last word.
Yeah. No, because I saw that the production, whoever does it is like 91 years old or something. Because that's what I was like.
Oh, read the private chat real quick.
Okay.
I actually have Dolph's quotes because I can't talk. Every single time I mention Dolph or Stallone, I get froze. So.
Yeah. That's exactly what happens. It's weird. Okay. Here we go.
I'm incredibly humbled and grateful for this opportunity, and I'm approaching it as an enormous friend of the Rocky franchise who happens to be a screenwriter, Lawton said in this statement to Variety. There have been rumblings that MGM wanted to make a movie about Drago, but nothing had ever been officially announced. MGM declined to comment. I think there's some talk about doing a whole spinoff on Drago with MGM. Dolph Lundgren, who played Ivan Drago, told the Hollywood Reporter in 2021. Okay, the quote cut off here. I don't know what the rest of it is.
Yeah. We have the cutoff Dolph Lundgren quote. Oh, this happened before Dolph found out that Stallone wasn't attached to do anything. Okay.
That is slimy work.
Well, your boy Dolph is off scot-free. Okay, he didn't do nothing wrong. He was just being...
He's innocent.
Yeah, Dolph is innocent. It's the production that's being sneaky snakes behind the back that we don't like. Okay.
Yeah.
This makes sense. Now, that's crappy because that's what I was worried about. I was like, you do Expendables together. You did Rocky. Obviously, you and Dolph Lundgren are buds, is what I'm saying. So it's like, it would be more upsetting if it's like, you knew about this and you didn't tell me. We know production companies can be sneaks, but I also get where Stallone would be upset because he's like, this is my baby. This is my thing. And it's like, if I want to milk it dry, that's okay. That's one thing. If I want to George R. R. Martin this, I can. That's my right. But if it would have been Dolph Lundgren not telling him, that would have probably been a worse hit. But it's like, now I can see where he's so upset. Oh, Dolph responded on his Instagram. I didn't know Dolph had one. Good for him.
Me either.
I might have to follow Dolph Lundgren on Instagram.
I do. And then also, too, I also follow Sylvester Stallone's brother, Frank, which is also how I found out about this, too.
And I said, oh, not you trying to be neutral, so you won't get attacked.
Oh, no.
Ezra Miller is one issue, but we can resolve Sylvester Stallone trying to come at your door, sir.
Dolph responded on his Instagram. Dolph just...
Yo, DeGorio.
Dolph just to set the just to set the record straight regarding a possible Drago spinoff. There's no approved script, no deals in place, no director, and I was personally under the impression that my friend, Sly Stallone, was involved as a producer, even as an actor. There was a press leak last week, which was unfortunate. In touch with Mr. Balboa, just so all the fans can... did it say I was?
Yeah. If he's in contact, he's going in on the phone right now.
Just so all the fans can relax. There you go. I like the "there you go" at the end, Dolph.
Me too.
I like that. There you go.
Like, let me talk to him. I know he has a movie coming out, so he can't really go in on them right now like he should want to.
Okay, let me tell you something else.
That happened. His PR team was like, is that good? And then he's like, I want to add a "there you go" to the
He's in the publicist doing his Instagram. Okay, I got all that, Dolph. What else do you want? There you go.
There you go.
Sin.
If they like it, they like it.
Guys,
if they don't, they don't.
Dolph is quick and to the point. He doesn't mince words.
But
there you go.
This though, at first, this is why Stallone decided to delete his tweets and stuff like that. Was because of the fact that at the time he thought Dolph was actually involved with all this. So once Dolph got on his Instagram and cleared the record straight, Stallone deleted that.
I feel bad for Dolph. I feel bad for Dolph Lundgren. I'm like, oh my God. But no, that is crappy. I don't think that's cool to do. I don't think it's cool for any production. Of any IP. If somebody was like, let's say Stan Lee was still around, rest in peace. And like all of a sudden they're like, hey, we're sneakily doing another Spider-Man over here. We're never going to tell you. And then if we had Stan Lee coming out going, I never knew about this, we'd all feel bad. And it's like, yeah, of course.
Right from the grave. That would be horrifying. Like, no, I didn't want this to happen.
Right, exactly. And it's like, man, come on. That's not fun. That's crappy. But I knew that they were going to, I don't want them to milk Creed for all it's worth. For as much as I love Rocky, I love Rocky 4. Like I said, I don't care what anybody says. Freaking Apollo Creed coming out, pointing, I want you to James Brown is one of my favorite scenes in cinema history. It is fantastic. I love it. It's great. I love it. I love the Rocky series. I don't care how crazy it gets. But like I said, that's his. And I don't want that to happen to Creed. I don't want Creed to get milked for all it's worth. I want that to stay like a prestige thing like it has been. And we still have we still have Ivan Drago's son showing up and all of that, but it's like it stayed good.
Well, another thing I want to mention this. Stallone is actually still got his fingerprints on the production of Creed 3. He's just not going to be in the movie.
Right.
And he's fine with that. He actually did a press conference and everything goes,
That's what I was worried about, though. You cut out one more time, John. I'm sorry, but that's what I was worried about.
Like, fine with that.
As long as he's attached, that's fine. I'm assuming he's feeling like he's like, as long as I still can have my little input here and there on this thing that I created, I'm cool. I don't have to be on screen. It seems like that's the case with Sylvester Stallone. But then it's like, man, to find out if anybody, wherever you work at, whatever you do, if you're like, hey, this is our main goal here, and then we find out, oh, this little crew to the side is doing some sneak shit. Like, what do you mean they're doing some sneak shit without telling us? I'd be pissed. I'd be mad no matter what. I'd be like, wow, how come you left me out? And not only left me out, you took my thing that I made and you're leaving me out. Like,
indeed.
That's just a crappy way to go about things. And I feel like we have enough Ezra Miller's sneaky, weird production things happening that this is just like, I don't know if it was a miscommunication. I don't know if Sylvester Stallone didn't check his email. I don't know. But it seems not okay to do to somebody. I can see where Sylvester Stallone is upset.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's all over the place. It's a mess.
Oh, yeah. We got the Oscar apology, which I totally forgot about watching. Totally forgot.
Yes.
Terrible
Now,
segment.
this one, John did not tell me about. Somebody else told me about. Like, go check out Will Smith's Instagram. I said, he's breathing. He's alive. He stopped meditating. Let me go check it out.
I totally no. The second John texted me about this, I was like, oh my God, I totally watched that. That's how, okay, this might come off bad, but that's how like blah I felt his apology was. One, I don't feel like it was very like, I'm straight up apologizing to Chris Rock, like flat out. And then it didn't feel that way to me. And it's like, have you watched any YouTuber ever that has made an apology video? Because buddy, he did the whole thing.
I'm not going to name any names because I know this is going to YouTube, but yeah.
I will say the whole sigh and sitting down, all dramatic in the beginning. I was like, oh, you're trying real hard, bud. But
his opening words.
Yes.
Why didn't I apologize to Chris at the Oscars? I can't say that.
I was just like, it was so blah that like this was a huge thing. This was world news. And it's like, we all knew about the slap, but then it was like, when it came to the apology, I felt like it was like,
Doc.
Okay. I feel like, honestly, it's too late. Like it's you should have just came out and went, I'm sorry, Chris Rock. I'm sorry that I did that. And it was messed up. And then do a bigger announcement and of things later on like this. That's what I think he should have done. I think a long time ago, he should have came out and went, I'm so sorry, Chris Rock. And then came out later on and been like, I'm sorry for the ramifications this could have had. There was whatever, however, and then that's on your PR team, Will Smith, not me. So whatever. But
right. And what he said about Chris Rock was basically that he reached out to apologize. And the message came back that he's not ready to say anything to him because he's not ready at the time. He's on tour, basically.
Right.
And he'll come to him when he's ready. Which probably will not happen, but yeah.
Well, even his brother.
Yeah, well,
even Chris Rock's brother, though, doesn't even like the apology.
Well, Chris Rock's brother.
Oh, I didn't even know. I know he said something about it like a couple months ago after it happened, but I didn't know he updated. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because before offering an apology to
the
Rock,
mama's going to be next. Mama Rock's going to be next, too.
Well, I was going to say, I liked what she had to say, though. I thought that what she had to say was like direct. She said how she felt, which
absolutely
I respect anybody who does it, but she said it in such a poignant way that it was like, hell yeah, Mom, good job. But his brother has been very vocal about, no, I didn't.
Because I feel like Will probably was sitting over there meditating, like, man, forget about Tony. Then the mom said, I felt like that slap was for me. And Will was like, maybe we should rethink this.
Well, anyway, imagine it. Any mom is going to be like, that's my baby. It doesn't matter how old it is. It's your baby out there. It's like, come on, man. But I felt like now that you said that he is on tour, it's like, why would you already waited this long. So why not wait long enough for him to be done with his tour? Like, this man's busy. He's doing stuff. It's almost like going like, hey, I know that they're caught up at doing X, Y, and Z right now. I know John's on a live right now. Now I'll text him and say, hey, sorry for breaking your window last week. Like, knowing that you're caught up on the live. Like,
right.
I know that I can, like, that's kind of how, now I didn't think that before, but now I'm kind of getting that vibe of like,
Yeah, you know, John's
I think it
on
was also
live.
too.
Beyonce dropped a new record. Everybody's going to be talking about that. This is just for the industry, not for the people. The people have moved on. Let me put out an apology. That's what I thought it was.
That's a great way to put it.
Genuine to it too. There's a point.
Yep, that's a great way to put it. Well, I heard that they announced that Bad Boys, because I will say this, back when 2020 happened and the pandemic happened and we only had those few movies come out in theaters and everybody was worried about the Oscars, I was like, seriously though, I thought, which one's the last one that came out? Whatever it is for Bad Boys. Well, Martin Lawrence killed it. Martin Lawrence was the heart of that movie, and he killed it. I will say that for like being a big shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, buddy cop movie. I was like, man, Martin Lawrence, you're killing it. I was like, Martin Lawrence deserves to get more acknowledgement for this. And everybody in the movie community was joking, like, what's going to be up for best movie, Bad Boys and Sonic? And I was like, hey, man, if you throw Martin Lawrence on an Academy Award for that, I wouldn't be mad. I was like, he was the heart and soul of that. I was like, I really felt for him. I was like,
it would be funny if they asked them to host, but then they remember, oh, I remember when you did SNL back in the day. We just saw that video. I don't know if he was.
We'll say that. We need a Martin Lawrence Assance. And I know he still does stuff, but I'm like, no, that proved that he had a ton of range and it was great. But I had heard last week that they announced that they're not going to stop production on the next Bad Boys for Netflix, I believe. And so I was like, I'm not worried about Will Smith. I think he's going to be just fine. But like you said, this wasn't for the people. This was for...
This was for Will to get PR out of it and not to squash anything. And like Western said, the first thing out of his mouth, oh, I want to talk about the Oscar slap. Instead of him just saying, hey, Chris, this is Will. I just want to tell you I'm deeply sorry for slapping you at the Oscars. Or
answering select questions like, what happened, man? Like, break it down. You got to give us all the personal details. Like, are you okay personally? What's the future of this? What's going to happen?
And he said this, though, too. He said that he acted on his own terms. He did on the slap.
I like
Jada didn't inspire him to say
Jada was. If you look at that look that Jada gave, he goes, "So you're gonna go ahead and are you gonna go ahead and do something or not?"
I'm all for like everybody is
Me too.
in control of themselves. I understand that, but are you trying to tell me that if he wouldn't have made it was all about your wife? It was all about your wife. He didn't make it. He didn't make a joke on you. It was a joke on her. And it wasn't even, have you seen Chris Rock? Have you heard Chris Rock? It wasn't even that bad. And I was like, even if he knew or didn't know.
Oh, Will was also laughing. That's the thing.
Right. Yeah. And then look back at her. She didn't have to say anything. It's just the look, the wife look that just had to seal the deal.
I know exactly. Like I said, I'm fully aware that people can all do their own actions. But if I'm out with my significant other and something happens and I'm looking at them like, you better get up and go do something. It's like, guess what? I'm going to take some of the blame for that. I'm going to be like, well, you know, I was pissed off too. And she's done none of that. Like, I don't even want to get into the Jada-ness of it all. I really don't.
Like, now imagine if it was like the movie Bad Boy. She was laughing with Will. Then, you know, everybody's laughing. Next thing you know, you see Will in the headlock. Like, say that about my wife over time.
No, and
like playful.
Like, and it's like, at least say you did it. Just say you. That's what I'm like with everything. I'm like, I think when you do all this, I get PR and I understand that. But when you move all your words and shit, it's like.
Let me tell you something though, Abby. Is this? I tell my soon-to-be stepkids this. I said, "Are you sorry because you got caught, or are you just sorry? Are you sorry, genuinely sorry for what you did? Because right now you're sorry just because you got caught." Will Smith is just apologizing to save his own ass.
That is the best thing. My mom has taught me a lot of great lessons in life, but one of the best is she's always told me that ever since I was a little kid. She said, don't say sorry if you're not. Don't say you're sorry if you're not sorry. If you're actually sorry, say you're sorry. If you're not sorry, stand by it and just go.
But also, too,
you have to admit,
explain what you're apologizing for so that way you know it's genuine. Hey, Chris, I'm sorry for stepping on stage. That was not something I should have done at the Oscars. I should have held my composure and talked to you, but instead I acted rationally and I slapped you. I am sorry for slapping you. I deeply apologize to you and your family, Tony and your mother. I am sorry, and I'm deeply sorry for slapping you, and end it.
And there's a very big difference between going, I'm sorry that you feel a certain kind of way, and I'm sorry I did this. Like, those are two totally different things. One of those is an apology, and one of those is going, Screw your feelings.
Because I heard a lot more apology for the nominees and the people behind that, which is fine, but still, you need to have it for the guy that you hit,
Right, exactly. And it's like, man, are you that? I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's PR. I don't know what it is. Where I'm like, Will, Bud, I'm pretty sure we were all rooting for you until you guys started opening your mouths after, and then we were like, no. What are you doing out here? Now we're all just going, we're rooting for Chris Rock, and rightfully so. And it's just a very complicated situation. And I did feel bad for the nominees. I felt so bad for Questlove. I was like, cutie Questlove, who I've seen live. And if you get a chance, go, because he's great. But cutie Questlove is his first nomination and wins right after that. And I'm like, and that was so sad, on top of Chris Rock getting hit, where I was just like, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And it got everybody got overshadowed by this, but specifically him, I felt really bad for. I was like, man,
right. He was calm. He didn't even pay attention to the situation. He said he was somewhere meditating. He was on the clouds. And then when he goes up and accepts his Oscar, he's like, why is the room like on their phones talking amongst each other? What happened? I think this is supposed to be like a powerful documentary about music back in the day. What's the issue? And then it just registered after when he got backstage, like, oh.
So okay, so let's wrap up with the Amazon movie release dates.
Okay.
Yes, with Prime Video, they just released their fall movie slate. Obviously, I think one of the biggest ones that's getting some awards buzz next year, I'm hearing, is Harry Styles' movie, My Policeman.
That's what I'm making this face about. Well, that's going to take over. I don't want to upset the Harry Styles fandom. I think you're like the Nolanites. I'm scared of the Nolanites, and the Harry Styles fandom is gigantic. So I'm like,
yes,
this is probably going to take over. Harry Styles seems like a very nice young man. I don't think I've ever seen him do anything bad. So I didn't know he was getting his own little thing. That's cool. And then that's going to definitely, I mean, I'm not trying. I mean, I know the nerd community. I know we're pretty strong, and we got Rings of Power coming, however you feel about it. But Harry Styles might give that a run for its money. That's all I'm saying. Like Harry Styles.
Yeah, he's doing 2 movies this year. He's got that and the other movie, I think, Don't Worry, Darling. That's for Warner. That's probably going to go to HBO Max with like 45 days of release.
Harry Styles and Robert Pattinson are going to be keeping.
He's got the upper hand.
Well, now I'm like, well, get ready, guys. We better brush up on our Harry Styles info, and you don't want to offend that fandom because they're very dedicated.
Right. I can see the Academy now. Like, okay. What should we do here? I don't think we should put him in Best Actor because he's still kind of new. So supporting, maybe we can look at Don't Worry, Darling, see what his performance is.
Yeah,
I think that's probably the most buzziest movie I'm seeing from their slate. But there's some other fun ones in here. If the thing could load.
I was gonna say, what do we got? We got The Wild. Oh, The Wild was canceled.
Lena Dunham has a movie coming out called Catherine Called Birdie. That one and My Policeman, I believe, both are screening at the Toronto Festival in September. No further information other than that. I don't know if she's going to get any buzz for that one, but we'll have to see. Right. The Academy is unpredictable.
Yeah, Catherine Called Birdie. So now the year is 1290. In the medieval English village of Stonebridge, Lady Catherine is the youngest child of Lord Rollo. Oh, I'm related to Lord Rollo in real life. That's cool. And Lady Aslan, as her playground, is Stonebridge Manor, a house that, like the family, has seen better days. Financially destitute and utterly greedy, Rollo sees his daughter as his path out of financial ruin by marrying her off to a wealthy man for money and land. But Birdie, like all the other great teen heroines, is spirited, clever, and adventurous, and ready to put off any suitor that comes in increasingly ingenuous ways. Her imagination, defiance, and deep belief in her own right to independence put her on a collision course with her parents. Oh, it sounds like Brave a little bit, but without the bear stuff. When the most vile suitor of all arrives, they are presented with the ultimate test of love of their daughter. Okay.
Well, yeah, that was supposed to be in theater September 23rd, and that's supposed to be streaming on Prime starting October 7th. So I don't know. Maybe. I feel like the acting, I don't know if it'll get any nods because it's going to be a pretty competitive year, I think. But I think in the other categories, it might get something.
Yeah, I think they're going to come out swinging because of after the pandemic and everything. And then we have Argentina, 1985. Which is inspired by the true story of Julio. I'm gonna massacre your last name. I'm sorry, Stracera. Luis Moreno Ocampo and their young legal team of unlikely heroes in their David versus Goliath battle, in which under constant threat, they dared to prosecute Argentina's bloodiest military dictatorship against all odds, and in a race against time to bring justice to the victims of the military. I'm not even going to pronounce that word, so I'm going to get it wrong. I'm sorry, guys.
I think it's junta. I think it is.
I didn't know if I should throw the H on there or not and make a fool of myself.
Hey, you did pretty good, though.
I'm trying.
Did better than what I could do.
What is My Policeman? That seems oddly timed. A tale of forbidden romance and changing social conventions. My Policeman follows the relationship between three people: policeman Tom, teacher Marion, and museum curator Patrick, and their emotional decades. Oh, this is the one Harry Styles is in too?
Oh, and I presume because I'm seeing two names, I got confused for a minute. Like, why am I seeing three names? I'm presuming one half is playing younger versions of the characters, and the second half are playing older versions. Because I'm like, Rupert Everett, he's up there. And then
I was kind of worried for a minute, where I was like, is this police propaganda? That's kind of what I thought for a minute. I'm like, My Policeman? You're kind of making it sound a little.
I don't think so.
That's an odd title for right now.
It feels like a rom drama. I know that's the weird kind.
It feels like remember that Nicolas Cage movie, Money? That rom-com that Nicolas Cage was in back in the '90s, where he wins $1 million and he played a cop.
Money Train?
No.
Lord.
That's Money.
That's Woody Harrelson, right?
Yeah. No, Nicolas
Cage. No, is it? That's Cher and him, right? That's not. It's not a comedy.
It Could Happen to You is the name of the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it feels like that kind of movie, though. It feels like a rom-com featuring Nicolas Cage as a cop, and that's all I could think of is him dressed up as a cop.
No, yeah, I just was like, oh, this is the Harry. Never mind. I'm not talking badly about the Harry Styles movie. I'm not.
Please, be nice.
Goodnight, Opie. Goodnight, Opie tells the inspirational true story, or Opie, of Opportunity, a rover that was sent to Mars for a 90-day mission, but ended up surviving for 15 years. The film follows Opportunity's groundbreaking journey on Mars and the remarkable bond forged between a robot and her humans millions of miles away.
This one, I don't think this will probably be that much, but I think documentary categories, this will probably be one that might get some consideration. I see another documentary that's supposed to come out in December called Wildcat. That's also talking about some old war story based in Afghanistan, war movies. Yeah. Academy loves those, so it'll probably get some nods over there with
That's
those.
True.
Yeah. Well, got a nice little mix up here.
For sure. Definitely. I definitely know a few people that would be geeked to see a Mars rover. Not hating on it. They're much smarter people than me. But I have a few people in my life that I know would be like, footage from space, I'm on it. So that I could see that doing well, especially if it's like we have footage for a theater or an IMAX even possibly. Mm-hmm. I could see that doing okay. Maybe not the greatest of all time, but I could see it doing okay.
Yeah. For documentary standards, it should be pretty big.
So these are just
I'll tell you what's not getting an Oscar nod. Sorry, Sylvester Stallone. Samaritan. That'll be out August 26th. Yeah. I'm sorry. 13-year-old Sam suspects that his mysterious and reclusive neighbor, Mr. Smith, that's Stallone, is actually a legend hiding in plain sight. 25 years ago, Granite City superpowered vigilante Samaritan was reported dead after a fiery warehouse battle with his rival Nemesis. Some of these names are generic. Most believe Samaritan perished in the fire, but some in the city, like Sam, have hope that he is still alive. With crime on the rise and on the city on the brink of chaos, Sam makes it his mission to coax his neighbor out of hiding to save the city from ruin. Yeah, I don't think that screams Oscar, but it should be a fun little movie. I think it should be.
Right.
It's an action thriller.
I was gonna say, okay, whatever. Shoot 'em up movies are fun too. I miss that time in the 80s. This is what I always say about the Fast and the Furious franchise. When people are like, oh, it's this, that, I go, do you not remember the 80s and 90s? It was psychotic, and we loved it. We loved it. We loved Arnold Schwarzenegger. We loved this over-the-topness. And I was like, I feel like the Fast and the Furious franchise has taken that slot for this generation. It's like they're going to look back and be like, remember those crazy car movies? And then they went to space at one point, I'm pretty sure they're trying to do. Like, it's going to get crazy. Like, we had Jean-Claude Van Damme and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone beating communism in a boxing match. Like, we had that too, and it was crazy. So it's like, I miss having just a shoot 'em up, fun well done action movie. I really do. So I'll cheer for the Samaritan. I don't know. It kind of sounds like a less offensive Gran Torino, but you know what I mean? Like where Gran Torino, it wasn't like, oh, he's this guy, but it's like he was a guy back in the day. And it's like it kind of sounds like that a little bit to me, but maybe not as Clint Eastwoody. I don't know, because I know there are good parts about Gran Torino, but then there are bad parts about Gran Torino. And I'm like, the top one being there's a very small, you guys want to know what? There's literally almost no Asian population in the city of Detroit. And so that was always a throw off to me, where I'm like, if you went about 10 miles south, you could have made this work, but it's so distracting to me that I can't pay attention. And then I'm like, there's a bunch of issues here, but I get Gran Torino vibes from this, but not as Clint Eastwoody. That's the only way I can put it. I'm making up words here.
You're trying to help it out. That's all.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's all. Where I'm like, Gran Torino might not be as great as you think it is, but this might be fun.
Yeah, and then of course, finally, you got the holiday movies that's coming out. There's 2 Halloween movies in their schedule. There's a movie called My Best Friend's Exorcism. I think you were talking about that earlier. That was coming out September 30th. Elsie Fisher stars in that one. And there's another one called Run, Sweetheart, Run. That'll be out October 28th. I presume that's
like that sounds like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Run, Sweetheart, Run.
Is it supposed to, now I'm looking at this for the first time. Is this My Best Friend's Exorcism supposed to be funny? Like, is it supposed to be like a funny, like, horror thing? Because it's from the title. That's what I'm getting.
The genre that they have listed is just horror. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's a plot twist and it ends up being a comedy as well.
Just off the title alone, imagine. It's like, I got to go to My Best Friend's Exorcism later. Okay. Well,
yeah, I mean, we have My Best Friend's Wedding. Why not My Best Friend's Exorcism?
Right. Well, you kind of can't miss that. You know, you might be top on your priority list. I can't miss the Exorcism. I got to go. But then it's also like, why would you want to attend? That sounds horrifying. Why an exorcism?
By the way, it actually takes place in 1988, where high school sophomore Abby and Gretchen have been best friends since fourth.
Oh no!
Fourth grade?
Do I have the right
lane? Grade. She's moody, she's irritable, and bizarre incidents keeps happening whenever she's nearby. Abby's investigation leads her to some startling discoveries, and by the time their story reaches its terrifying conclusion, the fate of Abby and Gretchen will be determined by a single question. Is their friendship powerful enough to beat the devil?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they should have been 8th grade, a call back to Elsie Fisher's movie. But 4th grade, that'll have to work.
I guess this is off of a book too. So there is this is being adapted. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And like this is off the Prime, right?
Yep, this is the Prime slate. I don't know if John wants to go through the August movies real quick. That's not on Prime, but
I do think that, I mean, like I said, honestly, I swear, if they would have just given, if they just would have given me that title, if we were pulling titles out of a hat, I would have wanted My Best Friend's Exorcism. That's the one.
Yeah, I would have stolen that one. Yeah, My Best Friend's Exorcism.
I would have been like, you got to save the date. You got to save the date. You have to, I'm registered at this Catholic church. Make sure to bring something. And I would have made it a total comedy. And I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. But it's not funny. It's not funny. It's serious. And
it's a very serious thing. Exorcisms.
I'm secretly cheering for My Best Friend's Exorcism and The Samaritan.
Right, have Sylvester Stallone crossover with them,
Oh my God.
My Best Friend Samaritan.
Yes. If it was the 80s, they would have done it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh,
for sure.
Other than that, it seems like Prime Video has a nice slate, nice mixture of stuff. That'll probably get some awards buzz, documentaries, some dramas. Wonder what they have next year, because I know The Boys will be coming at probably the next year or so. I'm looking forward to that. That'll probably be the biggest show that they've done recently that I'm looking forward to. But these movies-wise,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to check out the horror ones. I'm sorry once again to the Harry Styles fans out there. My Policeman.
I don't know how that one's gonna.
I don't know what to say.
I think it's gonna be great. Either way,
I'm sure he'll be great, but the movie plotline, I don't know.
I think the Harry Styles fans are dedicated and they will show out no matter what. And
he's gonna get that Oscar nomination at some point this decade. If it ain't for those two movies.
And then Run, Sweetheart, Run is the other horror one. After what begins as a dinner with a client, a single mom finds herself hunted by a monstrous and seemingly unstoppable assailant in this terrifying dark thriller. Oh, so that's not even like supernatural. That's just scary. That's just scariness. Okay.
Yes, that's straight up. There's no exorcism in that one. That's pure scare. That's probably why it's like late October release. That's probably the best time to get like really spooky.
Right.
So,
no,
yeah.
and I miss having things in October. I really do. Like I feel like, and I understand because Netflix wanted to get Stranger Things out, and this is off topic. But even watching that, I was like, man, I wish it was October. I wish I was under the covers enjoying this. And I was like, I was just saying that the other day how much I miss having my scary stuff in October and them waiting for it. But I understand we have a super saturated market now, so it's like we kind of just got to get this stuff out sometimes. But I'm excited to have some good. We have the new Halloween coming out, where I'm like, I think
Halloween hopefully finally ends.
Right. Well, truly, and I've said this on my channel, and people think I'm kidding, and I'm like, no, I'm dead serious. I want Laurie to become the bad guy, and then I want Busta Rhymes to come back and beat them.
Yes,
because there are things from the 90s and the early 2000s that sound made up. One of those things being Busta Rhymes beat up Michael Myers. Not only beat him up, literally was beating the brakes off him.
And he is the only person I think that can tell him off and come off unscathed.
Exactly. And I was like, I think people forget that happened, or I'm too old and the youngins don't know. And I'm like, no, that took place. That happened. And I realized that all these movies now are going like, oh, the creepy podcast is going to the creepy house. And I'm like, Busta Rhymes was doing that 20 years ago with his reality TV show. He was the first one doing it with the Halloween series. And I was like,
absolutely,
bring it all back. Do you want to know what? If we're going to get crazy with Halloween, which you guys have, bring everybody back. Bring them all back. Bring everybody back. This town is full of idiots. What's happening here? But yeah, no,
that sounds like a great idea. To be honest,
I'm so serious. I'm like, oh my god, in my dreams. But
if he gets a cameo in that movie, that'll be a pleasant surprise. Like, I
would die of happiness right there. I would be like, this is the greatest film in cinema history. Thank you.
Oh yeah, but cinema. I don't even care if he doesn't die. It's cinema.
Exactly. Just bring him back. That's all I care about. But I'm like, okay, Prime. I watch Prime. I know that they're putting a lot of their eggs in the series basket. So I'm like, I'm not expecting too much from these movies. And maybe that's why it seems like the documentary stuff on this is more of heavy hitters than The Samaritan or My Best Friend's Exorcism. So maybe they're putting their eggs in the documentary basket when it comes to movies. Because it's like, you just want the accolade, right? You just want to go, we got nominated, we got this. I was trying to explain it to like normies who don't actually like follow stuff when the Will Smith stuff happened, because everybody was like the Oscars, and I was like, well, here's how they work, and this is it, and it's kind of bullshit.
Of course.
It's not really, but it's like, okay, I don't know. You don't really want, I don't think Prime cares if they win, but even a nom is a big deal, and then it brings prestige to your platform, and you can go look at us over here, and it's like Netflix has done that a little bit.
Yep.
And and Hulu's doing that a little bit. I think that Mike Tyson series on Hulu, each time I see a trailer for that, it looks better and better. And I'm like, this might be a contender for stuff. Is this Mike Tyson series I'm just saying.
Yeah, right.
But I'm like,
and we know his history of throwing hands, so they might throw the Emmy at him.
Oh, right. No, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know if you've seen the trailer for that, but I'm like, oh my God, this guy is doing, I was worried about the voice more than like the look.
And I've seen images of the show. It looks really interesting.
He's killing it. And I didn't know it was a series. I thought it was a movie, but I'm like, they have some heavy hitters on Hulu and Netflix, and Prime, you're catching up. So I think that they're trying, I guess in a long-winded way, I'm trying to say in a couple of years, I'd be more excited to see what movies they put out and see how much better they get at it. But right now, I'm like, I'm not expecting too much from you, Prime. I'm not, and that's okay. With your series, that's a different conversation. With your movies, you got a little bit of wiggle room with me.
Absolutely, and I think they're going to be looking forward to doing some big things with the documentaries this year. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if John is coming back, because I was about to segue real quick into what to expect this August really quickly and then wrap it up, but he disappeared. So I don't know if he's coming back.
Oh, well, I was going to say, John couldn't hear himself talk, so he said to finish it out. It's all good. I was gonna say, go for it. What are you excited about this August?
Well, to wrap it up here, we're gonna go into the section for what to expect this August. This week alone, Friday, there are several movies that is coming out that is really interesting to me. I know one of the biggest ones that is coming out is Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. I've been hearing some mixed to positive reception for it thus far from critics. Most of the performances aren't really saying that Brad Pitt is the best, even though I know he said he was like on his last legs of doing movies at this point in his career. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this one did it then.
I think that Brad Pitt is I love Brad Pitt as much as the next person, but that's the only thing I've heard about this is like Brad Pitt's in it. And I'm like, okay, why are we just so on Brad Pitt? Don't put it all on Brad Pitt.
It's actually based off of a novel as well.
Oh,
Bullet Train.
Okay.
And
I never read novels based off of movies half the time. I just go into the movies I know stuff based off the trailer.
The only reason why I know that is because I remember blogging about it back in the I used to write a blog.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So
you feel that Prime is because like I was saying with the rules with the Oscars, I don't know exactly what they've done since the pandemic. I know they've changed a little bit, but this releasing in theaters is you have to do it to be nominated and stuff. So I'm like, I think you're trying harder with others. How do you feel? I just want to know how you feel about that, John. But since you kept getting cut off, I feel bad.
No, don't feel bad. My internet just sucks. And also too, I found out that my stupid microphone decided to update, and I also ran an update check before I went online.
Oh, that's always
yeah. So, anyways, back to that topic. But I feel like this. I feel like the studios are trying too hard. It's like, okay, we're gonna whoop out a bunch of crap and see what lands, and then whatever gets popular, whatever gets the buzz going, we're gonna release that in theaters versus waiting until they have something like an Irishman, for example. Even though that movie was okay, but at least you had good cast members that was actually in that film.
The one thing that pisses me off about The Irishman, I'll tell you guys real quick. How does that get nominated for best stunt work? But John Wick doesn't.
John Wick doesn't
get nominated.
Let me tell you why it got nominated.
Irishman does?
Let me tell you why.
What did Robert De Niro do? I'm sorry.
Did
he got the facial expression that said
I was so
that's his stunt work.
Look it up. I swear to God, I was like, why is the Irishman here? I was like, there had to be a mix-up. Somebody with I have fat fingers. I hit things all the time on the keyboard that I shouldn't.
Right. They said, okay, let me see. John Wick. Oh, it's the Irishman. They'll know the difference. Somebody will fix it in post.
Right. Oh my God. I know John Wick isn't the greatest thing about. I mean, John Wick's pretty good, but it's like stuntmen went from being stuntmen to directing a movie, and it's great, and I love it. But then I'm like, that is great stunt work. There's a reason why we love it. There's a reason why it works outside of it just being Keanu who we stand. But I'm like,
stunt work was.
I get what you're saying about the Irishman. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that has irritated me forever.
No, let me tell you what was stunt work though. Because you were wondering, it was when Al Pacino had to get out of the recliner and they had to call somebody to help him out. That was another one. Also, too, somebody had to call. Hold on. It gets better. They got to call the stuntman whenever Robert De Niro was trying to run from the cops after kicking somebody in the face. Whenever he was just slowly kicking him in the face. So therefore, he needed.
That's some top tier stunt work to me, man.
I guess if they really came out and were like these old dudes actually had to do some stuff that was making them uncomfortable, I would be happier about it. But I really was taken back by that. I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Is this a joke?" But I really do. I think they're putting their eggs in the documentary basket right now. That's what I was telling Western. I was like, I think that they are putting their eggs in the documentary basket right now. In a few years down the road, then I'll be more interested to see what movies they put out.
You know what though? I wouldn't be surprised, and I know that this movie's NC-17, and I know that you and I did a reaction to Blonde, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went on ahead and nominated that.
I think that's going to. I think that might rake it in. It will it's either going to go fully raked in or not, because that is one thing that's outside of war movies. The next thing Hollywood loves the most is itself. And with Blonde, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of
Marilyn Monroe. Yeah.
Hollywood.
Oh, we're going to give them all the credit.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And so,
but we love the war movies.
If that does well, we're all going to go, oh yeah, well, we love ourselves. Let's nominate that. So I think you're right.
But I'm actually surprised that a feel-good movie actually won over at the Oscars last year.
That's true. And
because usually they go after the set.
That's a whole other thing that I felt bad about, because I'm like, that's something I feel like that gets overlooked. That it's like, not only is this a black family and everything, it's like, no, Serena is the greatest athlete in the world. Like, that is something like it's crazy, and all that got overlooked because of what happened, and it's crappy. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, I feel like that's something that really does. I was shocked it took
Like,
him that
dang
long in
it.
the movie.
He was this close to breaking out of there. We could have had like a playful, cutesy headlock that happened during the commercial break.
You know how embarrassed I would be? I'd be so embarrassed if somebody was like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're gonna play this person that broke down barriers and this and that and all that," and then I get up on stage at the award ceremony where I win and I act a fool. I wouldn't be able to show my face again. I would run and hide. I'd be like, "What did I just do? What did I just do?" Outside of the academy and everything, I just totally embarrassed this entire family that should be getting looked at for the great things they've done, and they're not. And that made me really sad. And I just want to put that out there and give Serena and Venus the credit they deserve, because they're bosses.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry to go on my rant, but you are right. It was a feel good movie, and that rarely happens. But like, even A Shape of Water, which I love, Guillermo is my main man, but it's like, guess what they threw in there? He's got to be sitting in a theater watching old movies.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
They love themselves.
Another thing before we wrap up, though, is this: I feel like before long, that streaming services are going to start buying theaters, where you might have to be able to, for example, show a movie for 5 days or something, and then also away it goes.
I think we lost you for the last time, John, but we can.
You got up on that bullet train.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I was gonna say we can wrap it up if you guys want. I had a lot of fun talking with you, Western. I had a ton of fun talking with you, John. I'm sorry that you had technical problems. I feel really bad.
Don't.
I mean, do you want me to close out? Everybody remember to come?
Close out, because chances is I'm gonna be frozen again. So
I'm gonna get frozen. So comment, subscribe, tell us what you think about Dolph Lundgren having an Instagram. There you go.
There you go.
I'm gonna end everything with "there you go." So make sure to comment, like, subscribe. It really helps out.
And don't forget the hashtag "there you go."
Hashtag "there you go." Check out The Western Wonder. Remember to subscribe to Movie Lovers Unite. I'm Motor City Nerds, and there you go.
Boom.
Bing, bang, boom.